Hey guys, welcome back to the Film Fan Club. I'm Sam Carrico. Captain Jack Sparrow's back for one final adventure. Does he bring it? Let's talk about Pirates of the Caribbean 5, Dead Men Tell No Tales. Okay, I gotta admit, the Pirates of the Caribbean movies hold a special place in my heart. The second one, I was like 11, 12 at the time. I remember being so enthralled just with the world they created whenever it came out in 2006. That cliffhanger ending, Captain Jack Sparrow, they gotta go save him. Oh my gosh, I remember waiting a year for the third movie to come out, and then I just followed the production. I followed the behind the scenes kind of news that came out, every little detail, anticipating the trailers and whatnot. It was really the first film that I ever did that for, so it was really Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End was the film that kind of thrust me into this film fandom that has become this channel, so I really do owe a lot to the films. The first one's really good. Second and third movies, I'll admit now, are guilty pleasures of mine, but the fourth film is not really good at all, if you ask me. This fifth film, what does it have to offer? Let's talk about it. We meet newcomer Henry, who's Will Turner's son, trying to break the curse of his father that has kept him at sea aboard the Flying Dutchman. Also, we meet Carina, she doesn't know who her dad is, and she's trying to figure it out, of course, and she's also, she's a scientist, but she's a woman scientist, so of course everyone thinks she's a witch. She's kind of on the run from the Royal Navy. Meanwhile, Henry's on the run from the Royal Navy. Wouldn't you know it, Captain Jack Sparrow's on the run from the Royal Navy. All their paths kind of cross in this fun adventure, and what I really like about this film is that it does kind of get back to the roots of the first film, whereas in the first film it was really Will Turner's adventure. He's trying to rescue Elizabeth, and then Captain Jack Sparrow, through the course of the events, just kind of gets thrown along the adventure with Will. And then in this film, it's really about Henry trying to break the curse of his father, and then Captain Jack Sparrow, just through his adventures, he's trying to escape Captain Salazar. He just kind of gets thrust into this adventure along with them. It's not really as much Captain Jack-centric as the third and fourth films might have been. Captain Jack Sparrow, I mean, Johnny Depp does a really good job playing him. Of course, he's just a funny character. The comedy shtick with him goes a little bit too far in certain areas. I was kind of worried about in the trailer. You get to see it. He's like, "Where's your crew? Where's your ship? Where's your pants?" You know, and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, were you still talking?" You know, it's a little bit too clownish for my taste, certainly in this in this film. But a lot of the comedy really does work because he still gets to see. You get to see glimpses of that fun character from the first three films that we all know and love. The newcomers in this film are actually a lot more likable and interesting than the newcomers that were in the fourth film, like Serena and Philip. I don't know, you probably already forgot them if you even saw the fourth film. These newcomers actually, they have a story to it. They have a story that actually relates on the characters that we already know. They have stories that impact the overall plot. Not to mention, there's of course some returning faces. We get to see Barbossa and what he's been up to since On Stranger Tides, and I really do like the utilization of Barbossa. But again, going back to some of the newcomers, there's Javier Bardem as Captain Salazar. He is on the hunt for Captain Jack Sparrow, who kind of Captain Jack killed him whenever Captain Jack was a kid. Now Captain Salazar has escaped from the Devil's Trident or whatever, and now he's a ghost. He's trying to kill him. That aspect of the story was, you know, it was alright. I was more interested in just following along Captain Jack's adventures and following along with Henry trying to break the curse of his father, and then Carina on the run from the Royal Navy, just trying to do her thing. She's got a little mission that has a really nice payoff. But I mean, a lot of the stuff in this film, the curse and like the Poseidon's Trident, and then where things were when they're on the map and how they're trying to find it and where in this world they are, a lot of it wasn't as well defined. It just seemed kind of convenient, like, oh, it's that time of the story where we find this, so there it is. You know, it works conveniently, and a lot of that stuff didn't just seem as well thought out as it might have been in the second and third film. Another thing that's kind of different from the previous films. There's a lot of CGI. There's a lot of overuse of CGI in scenes that really didn't need to be. I mean, of course, I mentioned we get to see young Jack Sparrow whenever he thwarts Captain Salazar back in the day, and the CGI they use on Johnny Depp was pretty interesting. It worked well enough, but in certain scenes it was really off. Like towards the end of the sequence that they show him in, it just starts to look really bad. So I'm like, because at first it's like really good. It's like, man, they should just do a whole prequel movie about young Captain Jack Sparrow. But then towards the end of it, I'm like, no, never mind. It looks really weird, and it's so weird how it can go from looking really good to really bad. Technology is really interesting in that aspect, but overall, I mean, also whenever they're aboard ships, there's backgrounds that are obviously CGI, but and it just kind of sucks because they did used to use a lot more real sets and real stuff, but that's just kind of how filmmaking's changed over the 14 years this franchise has been active. But speaking of ships, one thing that I really liked about this film was, in comparison to On Stranger Tides, there is a lot more ships in this film, a lot more ship battles. I mean, right out of the beginning, right throughout, I mean, throughout the film, you get to see a lot of ship battles, ship chase sequences. Captain Salazar's ship has some really cool, interesting features that, fit a ghost ship. It was, what I didn't like about the fourth film was Blackbeard. He's just supposed to be a feared pirate. He's just supposed to be a guy that's a badass, and then he's got this magical sword, and that just stuff didn't make any sense. This in the fifth film, it makes more sense because the Captain Salazar has got a ghost ship, so he can be outside the realms of reality, and they didn't, and Barbossa, he's got the sword, that Blackbeard has got, and there are some other continuing plot threads from the fourth film, but really a lot of the continuing plot threads that come from previous films come from the third film. So if you're going to watch just one Pirates of the Caribbean film to get really ready for this film, maybe watch At World's End. Watch the third one. It's a long film. So you can watch that and get pretty ready for what's to come in this film, because they do reference a lot of stuff with that. And then they do show a lot in the trailers that I didn't really appreciate them showing, because it would have been nice surprises to get, oh, you get to see that in the movie that you maybe wouldn't have expected otherwise. So if you haven't seen a lot of the trailers, maybe avoid them. It would probably do you good. Overall, I think this film was a worthwhile, good final adventure. I mean, it's not the best of the franchise at all. It's not really to the level of a really great film. But I had fun with it, being that I'm a Pirates of the Caribbean fan. I would give it 6.5 out of 10. Thanks for checking out this video, guys. If you liked it, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel for more content like this. Go ahead and follow me on Twitter and Instagram as well while you're at it, @SamuelD Carrico. Thanks again. You have a good one.